for BJD collectors, BJD admirers, and anybody else. Today I'm here with a tag video. I don't do every tag that comes along, but I saw this tag by Nerdydollgirl and I thought this looks like fun. So we are going to do the quarantine doll. Did I miss out a word? Quarantine tag doll edition. What fun. Firstly, a little bit of a disclaimer and context and that good stuff. I'll speed this up so it's like a bit quicker. First of all, this video is aimed at adults. I'm an adult. I participate in an adult collection hobby and this video will contain adult themes. I haven't written a script of what I say. I've kind of got the questions so I'll answer them off the top of my head, but the storyline to my dolls and things does have adult themes in it, so this is a video for adults. Secondly, context. I'm going to do two videos for this tag. I'm going to do the one including my dolls from my main storyline and then the other one with my dolls that are just my pretty fashion dolls, although they do have personalities. So we are doing the Red Rover version, volume 1 of the quarantine tag video series of 2. Important context to know when applying this quarantine tag to these dolls which are in this storyline. People around the world, in our real world, will experience coronavirus and the quarantine different depending on the country they live in and how the government handles it, and so this storyline, this is no different. Red Rover storyline, main storyline, is set in a kind of parallel universe. They live in England, so it's very similar to that, but technologically they're kind of at like the early to mid 90s stage, so like some people have computers, some people don't. Technology is at that point, and that it's very UK centric because it's like a parallel England. Our first doodly question is, what things would your dolls do in reaction to the quarantine? I'm gonna do them in high order because that's just the way I put them out. Okay, here we have my special boy, Shatek, or my man. He's a man, he's not a boy, he's like in his 30s. Stand up, you muffin. So Shatek, what would you do in reaction to the quarantine? Well, Shatek he lives in the sewers and around and about. So he'd probably just kind of go about his life as normal because I don't think the quarantine will affect him. Like, no one's making him stay in. He hasn't got a home to stay in. He isn't really quarantined because he's just constantly outside. He likes to listen to the radio. So he will definitely be hearing the updates about quarantine on the radio, so he'll definitely know what's going on, but he'll just be like, he's rather skeptical that some silly virus is going to be able to kill people, and he's like, I'm not dead yet, so I doubt they will die. So he's really underestimating the seriousness of coronavirus. So really, he's not affected too much, he's just kind of not really bothered by it, and then, you know, that may come to bite him in the butt later, who knows. How would you react to quarantine, Alco? Alco spends a lot of his time inside anyway, so I don't think he'd mind being inside, but the lack of social interaction I think would bother him. I think he'd just kind of slowly start to withdraw into himself. He's not going to be able to go to his parties, or have people over, or have orgies. He's gonna be not in his element. He'll probably just withdraw inside himself and just kind of lay in misery a lot. Being inside away from people is not his favourite thing. Lars, what you doing? What you doing? Lars' reaction to quarantine would be, this is bullshit. Why can I not leave my house? Oh my gosh, I might die. How on earth am I supposed to run a brothel if there ain't gonna be no people coming to my brothel? Maybe you should look into like internet porn or something. She's not very tech savvy, so that won't happen. But her initial reaction would be, this is bullshit and I'm not doing it. And then when she gets in trouble and told to step in line, she's gonna be like, oh shit, I guess it's kind of real. Again, like Alco, she's not really going to take it very well. She is a huge social butterfly. She does not like being by herself at all. She very much gets in her own head. She practically lives in restaurants, so I guess she's going to have to get her girls to cook for her because she cannot cook, which is going to be fun. Basically, she's going to be an absolute pain. Sydney McLaren. Reaction to quarantine. I think a global pandemic is perhaps one of the few things that could spark Syd's interest in the world. She obviously wants to stay safe from the virus. She is very I want to say health and safety conscious. That makes her sound like Mr. Doobie-Dah with his hard hat and his red tape everywhere. but she's very, likes to live a healthy and what she considers safe lifestyle. She's very careful with herself. So she's going to be very cautious, wearing masks whenever she goes out, following the lockdown rules when it comes to her own safety. If it's anyone else's safety, she couldn't give two shits. She, I was gonna say by day, police officer by daylight, criminal by nighttime. That sounds very bad. Basically, she is a police officer, so technically she is a key worker, so she will still be going out to work. And then the other things that she does is organized crime. So the law says that's illegal anyway, so she's gonna keep doing that. Leon. So big change in Leon's life is schools are closed, so he's not gonna be going to school anymore because he's 16, so he goes to high school. So he's gonna be happy about that because, ugh, school. He hates school. He's not gonna have to go outside anywhere, which he's also gonna be really happy about because he won't have to go to any of his family's events. He won't have to see his grandparents. He won't have to go golf with his dad. All the things he hates doing. Basically, he's living his best life. He doesn't have to go anywhere that he doesn't want to go. And most places he doesn't want to go. So he's good. Ethan. Ethan is gonna be not a happy cookie. The quarantine is happening. He loves school. He goes to the same school as Leon, and school is his everything. He lives for school. He would like to live at school, but that's not an option. So school is closed, so he's very sad. But he's still gonna pay his bills because he lives in his little apartment, so he's still gonna go to work. He hasn't got the time or the money to be fussing about whether what he's doing is legal or not, so he's gonna do it anyway. So he's gonna still keep doing that when quarantine is happening because he needs to pay his bills, because his landlord isn't gonna stop asking for his rent just because quarantine is happening. So because he doesn't go to school and he doesn't live in the same neighborhood as his other friends at school, he's not gonna see his friends either. So poor little baby is gonna be sad. He's probably gonna be going on about how it's ridiculous and people are making a big deal about it, but you know, you won't be saying that when you get coronavirus because you have asthma, and yeah, that wouldn't be good for you, would it? Lydia! So she's one of Shatek's kids. She's like his little first mate. Her reaction to quarantine would probably be kind of dismissive, again because she's living with Shatek and he is a bit dismissive about it. She's going to be dismissive about it. Though she makes a lot of money, or I say a lot, she makes a lot for her. She makes some money by passing messages from people and delivering things from person to person. So definitely there is an opportunity for that in the quarantine situation when everyone is at home. So she might be doing pretty well. Okay, I'm sorry guys. We're now on my phone because the camera ran out of space because the amount of footage that I filmed for this was insane. So quarantine for Mia. She is not really gonna understand too much of what is going on. She is like 5. Ironically, she's in her school uniform here because obviously she wouldn't be going to school if it's quarantine. But that's not that big a change because she didn't attend school that much before anyway. She would go to school if on the rare occasion her dad actually took her to school, or the rare occasion that she took herself to school. So she doesn't tend to go to school much anyway. But this time she literally has no reason to go, so she will be at home, which is not a great place to be. There's not really much for her to do at home. Her dad is doing key worker roles, so he's going to be out a lot. So it'll be Mia and her mum at home. Mia's mum, she doesn't really do much. She doesn't really interact with Mia at all. She has a drug problem, she's an addict, so that's not a fun time for Mia. Second question is, would your doll drink? And I'm going to assume this means alcohol in response to the quarantine. What are you looking over there? Shatek's not really a drinker. If it's offered, he'll take it. If it's not, he'll leave it. But because his life hasn't really been changed that much, he's unlikely to consume any more alcohol than he might usually. Okay, for Alco, I guess this question's kind of a no-brainer, but his name isn't actually Alco, that's a nickname. He calls himself Alco the Alcoholic. He has a drinking problem, and he's going to be made more miserable by quarantine. So yes, he will still drink and probably drink more. So please look after yourself. I'm glad that you don't have to live through a quarantine. Last, okay, again, she is already a heavy drinker. And so quarantine is just going to make matters worse. There's that. Sid only drinks never. She used to when she was younger, but she's decided that, you know, she's kind of done with that. She doesn't see that it's necessary. Leon doesn't really drink at all. He hasn't really had the desire to. He never gets invited to house parties anyway. It's never really come up as something he's wanted to do. That's what he thinks extroverts do and people that like to go to parties do, and he doesn't like to do that. Also, he's going to be at his house and his parents will be there as well, so he'd struggle to get away with that even if he wanted to. Would your doll drink? Yes. Little munchkin here sometimes gets stressed. He likes to have a drink occasionally because he might be a 16-year-old, but he's practically a 40-year-old man. And if he doesn't get to go to school and he doesn't get to see his friends, he is going to look for other ways to amuse himself. Would Lydia drink? She does drink occasionally if it's like a social thing. Also, she is about 13, and yes, 13-year-olds should not be drinking. But she does occasionally if she is in a situation where people are drinking. She's going to do the same thing as them. She participates in things as though she's an adult, but if she's not seeing people, she's unlikely to do that. She doesn't use it as like a coping mechanism, it's more like a thing to do to be like the adults, because the adults are doing it, so she's going to do it because she very much wants to be grown up and be an adult and do what the adults do and live her own life and not be controlled by Shatek. Okay, so for Mia, well, she's 5. No, I know I said the 13-year-old did, but like, so no, she doesn't drink. Question 3. If your doll got your CC, and I assume that means credit card, although we'll have to say debit card because I don't actually have a credit card, what would they order? If Shatek got my debit card, he'd probably pick his ass with it. I don't think he'd know what to do with it. He might ask someone what it is, what he should do with it. He could probably use it to break some locks maybe, if you're feeling clever. But apart from that, nothing would probably happen. So it'd be alright. I mean, you can't have it because you'll lose it. If Alco got a hold of my debit card, I reckon he'd pick it up, think to buy something, and then put it down and forget, because he has plenty of money, and most of his money he'd spend out and about, and he's not going to be outside, so he's not going to be thinking of things to buy. He's just going to be thinking about how miserable he is. You're not really one for retail therapy, are you? If Sid got my debit card, she would probably return it to me. She has no need for money, and although she is a terrible psychopathic person, it's not necessary for her to have the card. So if she does a good deed, it will make her look good in front of everyone else, and she would rather people think that she was a good cop. If Leon got my debit card, I guess it would be easier for him to buy things. He wouldn't have to ask for them, instead he could just buy them. He would have fun buying whatever he liked, and because he's in house all the time, he'd probably buy a lot of stuff. New guitars, music, he collects records, new video games, new video game consoles, and it's gonna say that you don't have enough funds, so good luck with that. But yeah, he would just straight out spend my money. Instruments, albums, video games, technology, things, anything. New computer, whatever you want. He wants everything. There's always something that he wants. If Ethan got my debit card, I suppose he'd discover what he could order online that he needs and order that, because he can't use it to pay his rent because he needs to pay his rent in cash. Most of the things he pays for with cash, so he's gonna need to see what he can actually buy online. He'll buy necessities, also cigarettes, because those are his necessities, or he'll probably die. If Lydia got my debit card, she's a bit more clued in than Shatek. She's younger. Without the PIN, she's not really gonna get very far, because she hasn't got a computer to be able to order things online with. She could order something over the phone if she's got a catalogue and she gets some money for the phone box. If she did get my card, I reckon she'd buy herself her own radio. If Mia got my debit card, she'd probably give it to her dad, because she's probably seen him pinch these off other people and thought, oh okay, so these are good, these are what my dad likes, so if I give this to my dad, then he will be happy with me. So that's what probably she will do. She's not going to be able to buy anything because she's 5. Question 4. If you could do one thing with your dolls that you can't do right now, what would it be? I can't decide between going to meets or going on a photo shoot adventure. I like to take one doll out and just go around my town taking pictures in various locations. But honestly, I think doll meets, I think going to doll meets, taking my dolls to doll meets would be the thing that I want to do. Question 5. If your doll could visit someone, who would they visit and why? Who would ShareAlike visit? You're not very good one to start with this tag, are you? Because you didn't really doing anything different. Probably the person that would be the most difficult for him to see in this current situation would be Seymour, who's a kind of frenemy to him. They have an odd relationship. Seymour is a police officer, so if he could just see him as normal, I think he would do that. Though he probably would be able to. He could just like follow him around and be like, hi, you can't avoid me now, come and get my diseases. If Alka was going to visit someone, I think he would visit Lars. Because if we're saying they're being good and they're abiding by the quarantine, despite the fact that they are law-breaking criminals, I think he would want to see Lars because Lars isn't part of his household and they are good friends slash kind of partners. Be nice to spend some time with her. I mean, some time with anyone would float his boat, but spending some time with her would be his main choice because he already lives with Sid, so he can socialise with Sid whenever you want, can't you? Lars would visit McKenna. McKenna is her closest and longest friend. Their friendship is definitely not without its quarrels, but McKenna is the person Lars will always go to when she's feeling like things are getting a bit fucked. Lars is very lucky to have McKenna because McKenna has got her out of all kinds of situations and Lars does not really appreciate McKenna as much as she should do. Sid would visit, it would really depend on the circumstance because she doesn't pick out social interactions from her heart, she picks them out from her brain to what best fits her needs. So if she needs a loaf of bread, she will go and see the shop guy. If she wants to have sex, then she will go and see Lars. I don't know. No one is of particular importance to her, so whatever she deemed necessary at the time. If Leon could visit someone, he would visit his best friend Brett. I think that's the only thing that he would not like about quarantine, besides having to be with his sister all the time, but his family's house is massive, so he wouldn't really, like, if he didn't want to see them, he wouldn't have to see them. But I think the one thing he wouldn't like about quarantine is he wouldn't be able to see his best friend, like they would call on the phone, but he wouldn't be able to see her, and he wouldn't be able to practice with her, their band. So he would go and see his best friend, Brett. If Ethan could visit someone, who would you visit? Because he'd want to visit a bunch of people. I think he would visit Russell, who's technically his best friend. Used to be the person who bullied him at school, but Russell's a bit of a character. So Russell is his best friend now, so he'd want to go see Russell. If Lydia could visit someone, who would you visit, Lydia? Probably no one. She's kind of sick of being stuck around people, of being stuck around ShareAlike and stuck around her quote-unquote siblings. So she'd probably like some peace and quiet, so she'd probably like to just visit solitude. That's who she would like to visit. If Mia could visit someone, she would visit her auntie and uncle and her 2 cousins. They're quite fun. She likes to play with her cousins, and so she would choose them. Question 6. How many clothing, eyes, wig changes has your doll been through since quarantine? ShareAlike has been through no changes because he's been done for ages. All he needs is his shit. All he needs is his shit. That was funky. All he needs is his shoes, and he's been like this for a few years now, which is fair because he doesn't change clothes. He doesn't really wash. He has, I mean, he's changed because he didn't have the waistcoat before. Before it was just the shirt, that's because I made this. Apart from that, oh, he has his face up actually. He had the face up that he came with from the previous owner, and over quarantine I did his face up. Technically she had a wig change because this wig came in during quarantine. She got some bling bling. She did get some shoes that I made her, but they keep falling off. Sid has had her first face up. I made this jumper during quarantine, this skirt during quarantine, these socks during quarantine. They should be tights, but the fabric wasn't long enough by a long way, as you can see. And even these pants I made during quarantine because she kept sitting like this, and then I would be like, ooh, that's not how we do life. Leon has been through no changes because, again, he's basically done except for his shoes because he has really wide feet. He wants a pair of Doc Martens, but he can't get those. His feet are too freaking wide. Please cry for him. Ethan has gone through 0 changes. I don't see him going through any changes. He hasn't been changed again for years because I've got his staple outfit and I might make him his school uniform, but he doesn't have many clothes at all. He doesn't have a sense of style. The reason he's wearing this is because Russell said it would look cool. Okay, Lydia, no changes because she's done. And again, she has one outfit. She wears one thing. Mia has gone through like a whole entire change. Her wig's obviously the same because I did that, but I made her a summer dress and the socks and put the dirt on her shoes so they actually look like they're dirty rather than being like brand new trainers, which she would not have. What kind of quarantine crafts would your doll do? Quarantine crafts. Again, he's probably not going to do any quarantine specific crafts. He might make masks for his kids. When I say his kids, his children, not his biological children, just the street children that he looks after. He might make them masks out of old fabric and stuff. Although the fabric's not going to be clean, so it's not really going to be very helpful, but I think he'll think he's doing a good job. He sews, not good level sewing, but he does sew and he makes stuff. Quarantine crafts for Alco. You're not particularly crafty, are you? I don't think he'd get up to many crafts because he wouldn't have the energy or the motivation to do anything, to wash himself, let alone do a craft. The thing that he likes most, people, has been ripped from his poor, innocent hands. Although, I guess they're not really innocent. The second thing he likes is drugs and alcohol, so that's just gonna be a slippery slope. So there ain't gonna be no crafts up in here. Lars. She's not crafty. She's not really artsy, crafty, fartsy. She might try and give herself a stick and poke tattoo, which will probably end badly. Other than that, she'll probably do her accounts in her big fat ledgers, despite the fact that she has a computer that has Excel on it, but she's gonna do it on paper anyway because she's old. No, she doesn't do crafts. She would clean, a lot of cleaning. Or training. It's not a craft, I guess it's a hobby, so to speak. Weightlifting, cardio, all kinds of stuff. Keep him fit. Crafts, I don't know if I'd call them crafts, but for creative endeavours, he would write music because that's what he likes to do. He might try photography, filmmaking, probably buy a whole freaking fancy camera kit and then 1 week later go, oh, okay, I'm done with that. What kind of quarantine crafts for Ethan? Anything and anything he has time for, which is technical, mechanical, computer orientated. He'll do some programming, build little robots, fix shit around his apartment, tinkering with things, building websites, being a maths nerd. If he had the time, he's got so much stuff that he would like to do, but even quarantine isn't going to give him this time. If ShareAlike was feeling extra worried about the children and he wanted to keep them underground, so they did not catch coronavirus. So instead they caught, you know, whatever virus were hanging around in the sewers. She would probably do some kind of painting. She likes to paint whatever paint she can get hold of. Anything she can make colour on a wall or a floor, and she will do that. Mia likes drawing and she likes to do that at school, but she doesn't have any paper or any like pens or anything at home, so she wouldn't really be able to do that. If she had a pencil, she'd probably draw on the wall or something and then get in trouble. Question 8. Name one thing you have bought during quarantine. I'm going to name this piece of gold jewellery. This is a gold, and I mean like gold, like it's the metal gold, not it looks gold coloured. This is actually gold. Children's bracelet. It's like a little tiny children's bracelet. I used to have one when I was younger and I wish I would have kept it because I could have used it rather than buying a new one. And then I bought separately this gold cross, put them together to make a doll necklace. Unfortunately, her titties are too big, so it kind of doesn't lay properly. And question 9. What kind of TV shows would they binge watch? Nothing, because ShareAlike doesn't have a TV. He has a radio, so he can binge listen to the radio. TV shows would you binge watch? He watches a lot of things. He's a big fan of musicals. I reckon he'd watch dramas, sitcoms, comedies, nothing fantasy. Lars would definitely watch sitcoms and soaps and reality TV shows. Like Alco, not a fan of fantasy, of sci-fi. She wants to see people that she can really relate to in situations she can really relate to, and then laugh at them or cry for them or do whatever emotion she would like to do for them. Sid might watch some TV with Alco, her boyfriend, but she doesn't watch TV. She thinks it's not a productive use of her time. If she had to watch something informative, perhaps like a nature documentary, TV shows Leon would binge. Horror, he loves horror TV shows, dramas, sci-fi stuff, superhero things. TV shows would you watch? Sci-fi things. Star Trek isn't a thing in this universe. It would be called like Star Journey or something. Everything's kind of like a slightly altered version of everything else. So let's say Star Journey. He's a big fan of Star Journey, this universe's version of Star Trek. Lydia would not binge any TV shows because she doesn't have a TV. She would listen to a lot of radio. What TV shows would she binge watch. They don't have a TV at their house, so she would not binge watch any TV shows. Question 10. What would your doll's quarantine outfit be? Obviously, no question, it would be this, because this is what he wears all the time, night and day. Pajamas. Unless Sid needed him to wear anything else, but because he's not going to go out, I doubt she would need him to wear anything else, so he's probably just going to be in his pajamas the whole time. Lara's quarantine outfit would probably be what she's wearing now. Maybe she would wear a t-shirt rather than this. Well, exactly what she's wearing. She would keep wearing the same things. She would go to work, wear her uniform. When she wasn't at work, she would wear the same things. She is very much a creature of routine. Leon's quarantine outfit, he would probably just like to be in his pajamas all day. Ethan's quarantine outfit, if he's staying inside, he's probably just gonna sit in a t-shirt and his boxer shorts. If he goes out, he'll put on a pair of jeans. Pretty slobby, but he's normally pretty slobby. But he just won't wear his school uniform because he's not going to school. Quarantine outfit, this, because that's the only thing she ever wears. She will wear this, rain or shine. She would probably wear what she normally wears, which is her little tracksuit trousers with the stripes and her little t-shirt, and she wears that for far too long. You should probably change your child. Take care of your child, please. And last question, question 11. What would your dolls want to do when quarantine is over? What would you want to do, Shatek, when quarantine is over? What would you want to do? Probably the same things you're doing before. Probably do all the things that he tended to do before quarantine, didn't realise he actually liked doing, and then realised he actually liked doing them. Like, sometimes going into Seymour's house. You are sometimes allowed in Seymour's house, aren't you? Although Seymour's house is not the cleanest of places anyway, so it's not like he needs to worry. And just being a bit of an arse to people in general. You don't realise that you would miss that, but you would miss that because they'd all be in their houses. If Alco makes it through quarantine alive, he would probably like to throw a party and see all the people that he hasn't seen for ages. It might take him a while after quarantine to get to this point, to get out of his own head, to get out of this pyjama wearing, bed cretin, TV watching, drugged up state that he will be in. But if he does get through that, then I think he'll want to throw a party and hang out with all the buds. When quarantine is over, Lars wants to get back to work because she does like to work. I think she thinks she's lazy, but she's not at all. When quarantine is over, she's more likely to stay in more because there will be people coming outside in droves, going to who knows where, to all the places they've wanted to go over quarantine. And Sid will think, well, I'd rather not have to put up with that nonsense, so she's more likely to stay in. When quarantine is over, Leon would like to go places because he hates going places, but then he's not allowed to go places. So he'll definitely be like, oh, it's not fair, I want to go places. So he wants to go to the theme park and the beach and a holiday and the cinema and any place you can think of. He'll want to go there because when he could have gone there beforehand, he didn't want to, but now he can't. Now he wants to. Basically, if he doesn't have it or he can't do it, then that's what he wants. When quarantine is over, Ethan will definitely be eager to go back to school. He will be like, oh my gosh, it's time to go to school. It's the best day. Hooray. When quarantine is over, Lydia, she would probably like to see if she could pinch some nice things from the shops that would now be open because the fun shops are closed. When quarantine is over, Mia would like to go to her auntie and uncle's house because she misses her cousins. She wants to play with her cousins because they're fun, and her uncle is fun, and her auntie is fun, and she likes to hang out with them. And that is the end of that video. So I will see you later. Bye. I saw this tag by Nerdydollgirl.